You've seen the art, the majestic, terrifying paintings of the Last Judgment. Christ in glory, the angels sounding their trumpets, the dead rising from their graves, the saved being swept up into heaven, and the damned cast down into the fires of hell. You've heard the sermons and read the scripture passages that describe this awesome final day when the history of the world will reach its dramatic conclusion. But there's one mind-blowing detail about the Last Judgment, a detail hidden in plain sight within the church's teaching that is almost never talked about. It is a detail that reveals the secret, ultimate purpose of your entire life and the breathtaking scope of God's plan for humanity. And once you understand it, you will never see your own life or the lives of those around you in the same way again. First, let's set the stage. The Catholic Church teaches that there are two judgments. The first is the particular judgment, which happens for each individual soul at the very moment of death. At that instant, our eternal fate is sealed. We will go to heaven, hell, or purgatory as a temporary state of purification before heaven. But the story doesn't end there. At the very end of time, after the general resurrection of the dead, when our souls are reunited with our glorified bodies, there will be a second, final, and public judgment. This is the last or general judgment. This is the day when Christ will return in glory, and the full truth of all history will be revealed before the entire universe. The Catechism says that the Last Judgment will reveal that God's justice triumphs over all the injustices committed by his creatures, and that his love is stronger than death. It will be a day of ultimate clarity. On that day, every secret will be brought to light. We will understand why God allowed certain things to happen, why he permitted suffering, and how he brought a greater good out of even the most terrible evils. The whole grand, complex, and often painful tapestry of human history will be unveiled, and we will see that it is a masterpiece of divine wisdom and mercy. We will see the hidden acts of kindness, the secret sacrifices, the prayers whispered in lonely room, and we will see how these small acts of love sent ripples of grace throughout time. We will also see the hidden sins, the secret cruelties, the acts of selfishness, and the devastating consequences they had. It will be a moment of absolute cosmic truth. But here is the detail that is so often missed. The Church teaches that on that day, it will not just be Christ who judges the world. St. Paul writes in his first letter to the Corinthians, "Do you not know that the saints will judge the world?" And Jesus himself promises his apostles, "Truly I say to you, in the new world, when the Son of Man shall sit on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." This is an astonishing idea. The saints, the holy ones of God, the faithful men and women from every age, will participate with Christ in the judgment of the world. But what could this possibly mean? It doesn't mean that we will be sitting on literal thrones, banging gavels and sending people to hell. Christ is the one supreme judge. So what is this judging that the saints will do? The great theologian, St. Augustine, gives us the profound answer. He explains that the saints will judge the world simply by standing next to Christ. Their very lives will be the standard by which the world is judged. Let me explain. On that final day, when all of humanity is gathered before the throne of Christ, the saints will be revealed in all their glory. Their lives, which were often hidden, mocked, or persecuted by the world will be shown for what they truly were, triumphs of God's grace. And their lives will serve as a living, irrefutable testimony against the excuses of the unrighteous. For every person who says, "I was too busy with my career to have time for God," there will stand Saint Joseph, a humble carpenter who made his work a prayer and sanctified his family through his hidden labor. For every person who says, "I was too poor and insignificant to make a difference," there will stand Saint Therese of Lisieux, a young, cloistered nun who achieved greatness through her little way of love and small sacrifices. For every person who says, "I was too wounded by my past, too broken by sin to ever become holy," there will stand St. Augustine himself, a man who lived a life of profound sin and rebellion before his dramatic conversion, and who became one of the greatest saints and doctors of the Church. For every person who says, "The temptations of the flesh were too strong for me," there will stand Saint Maria Goretti, a young girl who chose a violent death rather than submit to a sexual assault. Her life, a radiant witness to the power of grace to overcome even the most intense pressure. The saints will judge the world by silently demonstrating that holiness was possible. They will show that with God's grace, it was possible to be poor and holy, to be a king and holy, to be a soldier and holy, to be a mother and holy, to be a sinner and become holy. They will shatter every excuse. Their lives will be the living proof that God's grace was sufficient, that His commandments were not too burdensome, and that a life of heroic love was within reach for anyone who was willing to cooperate with Him. This is the secret purpose of your life. Your life is not just about your own personal salvation. It is about becoming a part of this great cloud of witnesses. God is calling you, in your unique circumstances, with your unique personality and your unique struggles, to become a saint. He is calling you to live a life that will, on that last day, be a testimony to His grace. Your life is meant to be one of the proofs that God will present to the world. Imagine that moment. Imagine standing next to Christ, not with a sense of pride, but with overwhelming gratitude, and your very existence, your story, becomes a part of God's final, triumphant word to creation. This is the high dignity to which we are called. It gives our daily struggles for virtue an epic, cosmic significance. Every time you choose to forgive instead of holding a grudge, every time you choose to pray when you would rather be distracted, every time you choose to be generous when you would rather be selfish, you are building up this testimony. You are weaving your own small thread into that glorious tapestry of sainthood. The Last Judgment, then, is not just a day of terror, but a day of ultimate vindication for the humble, the merciful, the pure of heart. It is the day when the logic of the world will be turned upside down, and the logic of the cross will be revealed as the ultimate wisdom. It is the day when the hidden saints will finally be revealed, and their lives will judge the world silently, powerfully, and definitively. If you find mysteries like this compelling, consider following for more content that illuminates the eternal truths of the Church.